This episode of the podcast is brought to you by HRH Combat Arms. They can turn your vision into reality. They specialize in gunsmithing and Cerakoting. Your Cerakote specialist is Air Force veteran and retired police sergeant Paul Ware, aka the Sarge. He can Cerakote your firearms, auto parts, tools, even your sports equipment. And then your master gunsmith is Marine veteran Steve Miller. This veteran-owned business is located at 5025 Saunders Suite 103, Fort Worth, Texas 76119. You can call them at 682-304-0363, and you can find them online at www.hrhcombatarms.com. That's www.hrhcombatarms.com. All right, welcome back to Cops One Donut. I am your host, Eric Levine. I got some special guests with me today. I brought back Officer Brandy.
Hello.
Brandy Camper. I don't know if I can truthfully call her Officer Brandy anymore. I think now I have to call her like R. Officer Brandy.
Oh, I get a stipulation.
You get a stipulation on your name. So, because she's a reserve officer and they're beneath regular officers.
Oh, I'm not the only reserve officer.
Well,
you just spoke for the whole group.
all of them. I just, it's like being in the Army. I mean,
says the chair force guy.
So, and on top of that, I've got the whole purpose of this show. Yes. Most people know that it's easy for me to get cops. I'm a cop. I have cops on the other side all the time. I get a couple of FD guys now. I had an arsonist, arson investigator, not an arsonist.
I'm like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, he really divulged everything. It was great. As soon as he walked out, we arrested him. It was great. No, and then I've had some prosecutors, had a mayor, I had a lot of the criminal justice side. But the point of the show is to bridge gaps and try to get other people from both sides of the house, right? So, I've reached out quite a bit. I've had a few people that are not police come on the show. My last guy was he's a Jeet Kune Do black belt, like Bruce Lee's art.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? He's like 64 years old, retired veterinarian. He was a veterinarian for 49 years. He doesn't like round numbers, apparently. I would have went for 50. And so I had him on. And then I've just been trying to branch out, trying to get people from all walks of life that have something to say on trying to bring us closer together. And then you told me about a guy named Aaron Dyson. So that's my guest today. I got Aaron Dyson. I said that correctly.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So Aaron, I will just give you if you want to stay tuned for the show, it's going to be a great story. He was wrongly convicted. His conviction was overturned. He was in jail or prison for 24 years. So that's just to give you the quick side of this. So if you're going to listen to this story, this is one to listen to. I want to get his perspective on, the usual. First, I want to talk about where he's grown up, where he lives, all that stuff. Then the story that got him put in prison, and then how that became overturned. And then I want to get his perspective on the criminal justice system itself. Where did we fuck up? Where did we do well? What's your thoughts on police? What's your thoughts on the court system? What's your thought on the prison system? All those things. So it's going to be a long one. I think it's going to be worth it though. Aaron brought me some TX. So any other guests that I have on, now you have standards to live up to.
He did good.
He did really good, and he brought Brandy some Ménage à Trois.
I love it.
Wine. So that's pretty cool. Let's get this out of the shot, though.
Oh, is it in there?
I don't know. I just want him to be able to see your beautiful face.
Mm. You're trying to steal my stuff?
Right. Yeah, you'll forget it. It'll stay there. But yeah, Aaron, I want to get this show about you as quick as we can. So tell me, where did you grow up? Where are you from? What's your story up until prison?
So I was born in 1979 in Fort Worth. I grew up right off of 121 Airport Freeway. And that's where I spent my first about 16 and a half years of my life right there. There was a street called Hickory. And I went to Burville Elementary School, Haltom Middle School. And then I went to Haltom High School for a very short period of time before I ended up going to prison.
So you went in at 16?
No, 17.
You were 17 years old.
Yeah.
So obviously tried as an adult.
Yes.
Okay. So prior to that happening, what was your, I know none of us really know what we want to do at 16, 17, but did you have any idea where you were going to go?
Well, my dream was definitely joining the military, and I didn't want to just join the military. I wanted to be some form of special forces. You know, I wanted to either get into the Navy SEALs or Delta Force or, you know, the Marines Force Recon. I wanted to get in something that was, you know, some special op type stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. But, you know, of course, you know, life took a turn when my friend was shot to death, and everything just turned upside down.
I gotcha. I did the military route. Brandy tried to. I was SF, security forces.
I was waiting. I was like, when's he gonna say it? Yeah.
I love messing with people. Yeah, I was SF, and they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. Security force is a hard knock life. You don't even know. There's a lot of flight line you got to protect.
Oh my gosh.
You got to wave them in at the gate.
Yeah.
Salute." Yeah, security force. I was a cop in the Air Force, but okay. So let's get into the story. So you have a friend got into it. What? I don't even know how to start it. So you tell me how to start it.
Okay, so Omar, he was a dear friend of mine named Omar Alvaredo. I've been knowing him since we were, I guess, first grade, and I was real close to him. Loved him. You know, he was a good dude. And well, one night, him and a friend of mine named Salvador, they went out to this house in Everman, and they were over there with a couple of girls. And so this guy shows up, and he's high on methamphetamines. And I guess that was his ex-girlfriend. He was trying to get her back, and Salvador was actually talking to her. And so when he tried to, you know, approach Salvador, I guess trying to fight him or whatever, you know, Salvador, he was a lot smaller than this guy. And so Omar got in the way and said, "Hey, man, you know, if you're looking to fight somebody," he said, "I'll fight you." You know, they were close to the same height, you know, 5'10", 5'11".
Everybody the same age?
Yeah, he was 19, and Omar had just turned 17, so he was a couple years older.
Okay.
And so some words were exchanged, and the guy got in his car and he left, and he came back about 5 minutes later with a 380. And when he got out, he started going back towards Salvador again, and Omar got in the way. And you know, I wasn't there, but I mean, just the stories that both the girls had told me and Salvador told me. Omar got in front of him again and said, "Hey, man, I told you, you look for somebody to fight, I'll fight you." And so he pulled out the 380 and showed it to Omar, and Omar just, you know, looked at him, and they said that Omar looked back at Salvador, and then he looked back at the guy, and he said, "Man, I just can't just move out the way. You know, you want him, you got to go through me."
Yeah.
And so he did. I mean, he shot him 4 times in the face, and so Omar collapsed right there. The first shot that hit him, I believe it hit him right here, and it came out right here, and he would have lived through that. You know, if the ambulance would have got there quick enough, he would have lived through it. He would have bled a lot, but it took all his teeth out, you know, the round did, and he started trying to get back up. It knocked him unconscious, but he immediately woke back up and started trying to get back up.
Yeah.
And he was hollering. You know, nobody understood what he was saying. Some people said, a couple of them said it sounded like he was saying no. And so the guy turned back around. Like I said, he's high on speed. He just shot, you know, Omar point blank. And he sees Omar getting back up. So he walks back over there, and he shoots him 3 more times in the head. And obviously, you know, it killed him. And his gun jammed, or I imagine he would have shot some more rounds, but his gun jammed. And that's when Salvador tried to charge him and tried to attack him. And he took off running and got in his car and he left. But that's how the story originated, you know, from my imprisonment.
Okay. So from there, what caused you to be arrested and charged and all of that?
Okay, so it was May 27th, 1997. Joe Cruz, that was his name, and he supports me now. You know, he's an advocate, you know, for my freedom and all that stuff. So he had a court hearing, and I didn't know what the court hearing was about. I didn't understand what they were saying, but they just asked me to come there and support his family. And so I was like, yeah, I'm coming.
So Joe Cruz is the suspect?
Yes, Joe Cruz is the one that
Okay.
murdered Omar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I show up at the court, and I was late. And when I park and I get up to the courthouse, I'm about to walk in, and Omar's family's coming out. You know, his mom's crying, his little sister's crying. You know, you tell his dad is upset, his uncles are upset. You know, everybody's upset, man. I mean, he was a good dude, man. Everybody loved him. He was a great guy. And so I hugged them and I told them I'm sorry, you know, I wasn't able to make it. And they were like, no, you're here. There's a thought that counts. And so I talked to him for a few minutes. And had I talked to him for 60 more seconds, I wouldn't have saw him. You know, if I would have got held up at a red light for 60 more seconds, I wouldn't have saw him. And so I get back in my car and I come around. And as I'm coming down Belknap, there's Belknap and Henderson. You got that back then, I think it was an Exxon or something sitting in that corner. And anyway, when I'm coming down that street, I see him walk out the other side of the courthouse.
Jose or
Joe Cruz.
Joe Cruz.
Yeah, and so when I see him come out, man, I just immediately just went like tunnel vision. I wasn't thinking about, you know, it was 12 noon, broad daylight, and the two busiest streets in downtown Fort Worth. I just turned 17. My grief was overwhelming. You know, I couldn't sleep. You know, I love the dude. He was a great guy, man.
Yeah.
And so when I seen him, I just reacted. You know, I had a 12 gauge in my trunk, and so I be honest with you, man, it's just like everything's kind of murky. Like I could look back and I can remember it.
Yeah.
But it's like I was standing on the outside watching something unfold, and I think I just let my ignorance, you know, my grief, my anger, just the rage that I felt for what he did. You know, he took my friend's life.
Yeah.
And so I stopped my car right there on Belknap and Henderson, and I got out and I chased him down and I shot him. And I left him right there in that parking lot. And so my original charge was murder. When they arrested me later on that day, they read my Miranda rights and they said, you're under arrest for murder. Because they said that he had like a 3% chance of surviving. And that's why it shows murder charges when they run my plates.
Right.
You know, and it shouldn't be there because, you know, he didn't die.
Right.
So I guess it was some hours later when they figured out that, you know, there was a strong possibility that he would pull through. I guess they got rid of that charge and they charged me with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Mm-hmm. And then next thing I know, they came with organized crime charges. And I didn't understand what that meant. You know, I was when I went to prison and they did an educational awareness test on me, I had a 6th grade education. You know, I had learning disabilities my entire life.
Not to mention your brain's not even fully developed at 16, 17 years old. It doesn't stop developing until you're about 25. Yeah. So minimal life experience and, you know, teenage hormones, all that stuff. Yeah. So I get that.
Yeah. I've done some extensive research on that about the prefrontal lobe, you know, prefrontal cortex and just the developmental stages of a human being and stuff. You know, I've done a lot of research myself on that. And I mean, it's real, you know, it's real. Yeah. And, you know, had I been more mature, you know, I wouldn't have done nothing like that. You know, I mean, it happened, you know, and I was 17. I was woefully ignorant as a kid.
Yeah.
And so they charged me and I sat in jail for a while and then I posted bond.
Okay. So so you get charged with aggravated assault, deadly weapon. Were you at the time, and this is just the cop side of me, were you gang affiliated? Had you been in the system at all?
No.
Nothing prior to that. No. So you got no record, and your friends, none of them guys were gang related or anything like that?
I had one friend that I grew up with. I've been knowing him since we were about 1st grade. No, probably about 3rd grade. And he moved from my neighborhood to Diamond Hill, which is about a 15-minute drive from where I grew up at. And when his mom and his brother, when they moved out there, he got kind of tied up in a street gang out there. And I didn't abandon my friendship with him because he was still my friend.
Yeah.
And so occasionally I would go around him and he would come around you. He'd still come back over there and see us. And so he was the only one that I knew that was affiliated. And but just because he was affiliated doesn't mean that I was affiliated. Correct. Or anybody else, you know?
Yeah. So in that, obviously, what happens after you shoot? You go back to your car and you get out of there. Like, what's going through your mind, and when the adrenaline calms down?
I really didn't. I think that my mind just it wasn't. You know, like I said, I had learning disabilities, and I really wasn't even thinking about it. And then it took several hours, and then when a couple of my friends, they called me, they were like, "Hey man, come over here, we want to see you." So I went over to their house, and they said, "Man, we want to show you something." And I was like, "What's up?" And so they turned on the TV, and they recorded it, and it was the news, and it showed my picture and everything. They were like, you know, what'd you do, man? You know, and I was like, that's really when it hit me. You know, I realized that, hey man, I made a life altering, horrible decision. Yeah. You know, and it was, you know, once again, it was out of ignorance and anger and hurt. Yeah. You know. So so you go to, after that, you go to the trial and everything, right? Yes. What, did they add any charges? Was there? So they, I don't know exactly when the organized crime charge came about, but the attorney I had at the time, he was like, "Man, don't worry about that. You know, you're not a gang member, and it takes 3 or more people to be convicted of that charge." And I believe that he was woefully ignorant about that charge. Yeah. And so he just told me don't worry about it. So I really wasn't worried about it. He said, "I'm gonna get that charge thrown out." And, you know, obviously I was guilty of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon because I did shoot him. And I've never denied culpability for that. Yeah. Never. You know, when they arrested me and they asked me, you know, if I did it, I said, yes, I did it. I was a shooter. You know, and, but I don't know how the organized crime charge came about, but they brought it against me, and then they used false testimony to help convict me. So they got testimony from somebody that wasn't involved, or? Okay, so the guy that was with me that day, he was in the car with me when I went and saw. Up to the court? Yeah, up to the court. Okay. And so he came with me, and so they ended up arresting both of us that evening.
How did they find you?
So what they did is, to my understanding, what they talked about in my trial, I believe in my trial they're talking about it, they first thing they said is, okay, well, what is Joe Cruz doing in downtown? Oh, we had a court hearing. What was it behind? A murder. Who did he murder? You know, and then they just did their, you know, their book work, and they said, okay, well, he murdered Omar. Well, where was Omar from, and do we know any known associates with him, any friends of his? Yeah. And so they were able to pull up some pictures, and so when they pulled up the pictures, his grandmother and I think one of the other eyewitness, both of them pointed at me and said, yeah, he was there. He was the shooter, and that guy right there was there too. And so that's how they were able to pinpoint who actually did the crime. Okay. What did your friend say, like, when this all was happening? I could tell he was visibly terrified. You know, what the fuck did you just do type thing? Yeah, he was shaking. Yeah. And when we got in the car and we went to drive off, he was just, his nerves were shot. I mean, he was steadily just moving around. He was just wiping on his face, and you know, he was nervous. Yeah. And you know, it wasn't his fault. You know, he was just there, and so
he's another teenager too, right?
Yeah, like he was actually 16. 16. Yeah, he was 16, okay. And he's probably about 6 months younger than me. And so when they arrested both of us, I did the right thing. You know, I told the detective, you know, I did it. I'm the one that shot him. The other guy, he didn't know what was going to happen. Hell, I mean, really, I didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah, it just happened, you know. And I said, man, he didn't do anything wrong. I said, he even tried to stop me, you know, because he grabbed me like, man, what are you doing, you know? And but my rage was just, you know, and so I did the right thing, and I got him out of trouble. You know, they took the charges off of him. Okay. Let him out and everything. Was that a nip before your court date and all that? Yeah. So they let him off, and they still charge you for EOC. Yeah. When you need 3 or more. Yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So the other question I have is the shotgun. Like, did you always have it in your car? No. After Omar got murdered, we started getting threats. Oh, yeah. You know, they I don't even know how they got our numbers, I guess from them girls or something, but we started getting threats, and just being a dumbass teen.
Yeah.
You know, I just, you know, I should have never had it.
Yeah.
I should have never had it. But I did, and that was a huge mistake because it resulted in me using it. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was because of threats. So I was just trying to protect myself.
Yeah.
And that was actually, I think that was the only time I ever took it out of the trunk. You know, I put it in the trunk, and it was sitting there, and you know, and it just happened. I mean, like when I saw him, I stopped and I popped the trunk, and it's like I was in overdrive. Like my rage, it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's a loved one that is executed.
Yeah,
I mean, that's basically what happened. He got executed.
Yeah.
So, I can't put myself in your shoes. I don't think anybody can. I can say that putting like myself in that frame of mind with any family member or friend, like I get it.
Yeah.
I can't say
At that
that
age too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
you're so young.
yeah. I mean, I remember being that age, you know, getting in a fight at school over something so dumb, but at the time, like that was the most serious thing in my life, you know.
Yeah.
Not demeaning what yours is. That's obviously I'm talking school drama, not life or death. So,
but it just goes to show, like at that age, like that's what you should be dealing with, not this level of
absolutely.
You know,
yeah. So they drop your buddy's charges.
Yes.
All that's done. There's no other party.
No.
It's just you. They charge you with the aggravated assault deadly weapon, which you cop to.
Yes.
And then they charged you with EOC, and was there anything else? Which is engaging in organized crime?
Yeah, no.
Just those two. Just those two. And that engaging in organized crime is where the big chunk of the sentence comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually what I was convicted of. They convicted me of engaging in organized crime and sentenced me to 50 years.
50 years?
50 years, a 17-year-old kid.
On EOC.
Yeah.
So you didn't even get charged with the...
Well, the
assault deadly weapon?
The assault deadly weapon, because it was a second-degree felony and the EOC is a first-degree felony, you know, they put the aggravated assault deadly weapon there is kind of like a catch-hold. Like, if the organized crime doesn't stick, then we still have this.
I gotcha.
You know, so that's I mean, they went for the EOC to try to knock it out the park. Had
they not got the EOC, do you remember what your sentence would have been?
Oh, the max is 2 to 20.
Okay, so you could have got 2 to 20, and is that based on the judge or the jury that hands out that sentence?
Either one. I mean, like in a trial, you can ask to be tried by a jury,
okay, and
sentenced by a jury, or you could ask them to be sentenced by a judge,
okay.
And either one, even if the false accusations or the gang stuff hadn't taken place, and I had a fair trial where just the facts were told.
Yeah.
About, you know, my sorrow and how I made a big mistake. Even if a jury of my peers would have gave me the max of 20 years, which is highly unlikely if just all the truth would have came out. But even if they would have given me 20 years, I would have still been home probably about 12 to 14 years ago. Because, I mean, it's just the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, they don't force somebody to do their entire sentence.
Right.
You know, at half of it, you see parole. And you might get a 2-year set off, which is a parole denial, and then you make your next parole. So there's a strong chance that even if I had got the 20, the max, I probably would have got out at 12, and I'd have been home at least 12 years ago.
Damn. So with that, you said there was false testimony?
Yeah, so the guy that was in the car with me, the one that I told the police to release because he didn't do anything wrong. So leading up to my trial, he caught multiple more charges. Like, he just spiraled out of control. He caught an organized crime charge. He caught, I want to say it was a weapon charge. He had multiple charges pending against him. Some of them first degree, some of them second degree, some of them third degree. And so the DAs basically just went to him and said, hey, you know, if you get up there and you testify, this is what we want you to say. You know, we'll make all this go away. You'll get probation. So here he is with an organized crime charge, same kind of charge that they were pinning on me.
Yeah.
With multiple other charges against him from different crimes, not all from the same day, but just different times. And they told him, we'll give you probation. And so, he played ball with him. And he got up there and he testified against me, and he lied saying that it was gang related. It said that I was a gang member. And I still remember it, man, to this day, like just watching him, because, I helped him.
Right.
I made sure he didn't get in trouble, because he didn't deserve to go, get in trouble.
Yeah.
And here he was, and he was getting up there, and it's one thing, man, if you testify against me and you're telling the truth, I might be mad at you, but I gotta at least respect that. But you were a self-serving witness. Your whole goal was getting that get out of jail card, and you didn't care, who took the fall behind it. And so he testified against me, but I could tell that he didn't want to do it because he cried the whole time he was on the stand. I mean, the district attorney had to tell the judge or ask the judge multiple times, like, will you tell the witness to answer? Because he would just sit there, like they would ask him a question, and 3 or 4 or 5 minutes would go by with him just crying, and the judge would have to instruct him, hey, answer the question. And so he would answer, telling them what they wanted to hear.
Damn.
And so they used him, and it took because he after that happened, he started traveling a lot. Like he went to Guatemala, he went to Costa Rica. He was down all in Central America, and he's traveled all over the United States. It's like he's running from his conscience, from what he did.
Yeah.
And then he finally came forward. Like I haven't spoken to him. I haven't spoken to him since the day I saw him testify against me. But thankfully, he finally came forward and just said, hey, what happened wasn't right. And basically just told him, man, that his words were taken out of context and things were said that were untrue.
And when was that? At what point? Like
that was probably about probably almost 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago, because when he finally came forward and he admitted that that there was a lot of untrue things that were said to help convict me, my attorney, he hired this private investigator who was a former FBI, and they went and interviewed him, got it on camera, audio, all that stuff, and she came back and said, yeah, he's a very credible witness.
Yeah.
And so he admitted, he said his conscience was eating him alive.
Yeah.
And just knowing that I was steadily just doing more and more years in prison.
Yeah.
And so he came forward, and, because he did that, I just wish he would have did it a long time ago, but because he did it, it assisted me, and get my case overturned.
Okay. So during the original court case, did your attorney fight the fact that did he mention like he's getting a deal? This is why he's saying this stuff.
I can't remember that part of it, but I know that definitely after my trial, I know in the writs that were filed, the appeal writs, I know that it was mentioned, that he received a deal.
Yeah.
And the appeal court just kept on denying me, I think they're so overwhelmed
with appeals.
Yeah. That a lot of times, and it's sad to say this, but a lot of times I don't even think they really just look deep into them.
Right.
Each case. And it's unfortunate because that's a life.
Right.
But
there's the other way to look at it too, is that you've got so many people that are being convicted, probably rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they got nothing to lose to appeal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why not? Take your chance, appeal, see if it happens. And that's going to overburden the system.
Yeah, it floods the system.
Yeah. So in that, you get convicted. Now what's going through your mind?
Well, so when they sentenced me to 50 years in prison, I went to Ferguson unit, which is one of the worst places in this state, probably one of the worst places in the country.
Yeah. And by now you just turned, 18?
Yeah. I was, I want to say it was right before I turned 18, or either right before or right after when I hit Ferguson. And when I got there, I found out that I was the second youngest inmate.
Oh, my God.
And they called it the Gladiator Farm. I mean, so obviously, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's where I grew up, man. Suffered a lot of broken bones, my hands defending myself, and had my ribs fractured. I really came out better, on top, because, some people, I've seen people lose their life or, take their own life, or, guys getting raped,
Yeah.
You know, it's a very rough place.
What are the how was the learning curve for the politics in prison? Because there's a lot of, I've seen prisons, I've seen jails, I've got an idea, but the general public does not. All they know is what they saw in Shawshank Redemption or whatever. Mm-hmm. So what is it like day one to where you finally feel comfortable that you know your place, you know who to talk to?
The youngest, to back up, Aaron's never even been in trouble at this point.
Yeah. Right. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, his learning curve's got to be either fast or you're in trouble.
Man, the only way I could really describe going into a place like that and being green is either you're going to learn how to swim or you're going to drown.
Yeah.
You know, and you better do it quick.
Right.
You know, I had to grow up. You know, I had no choice but to grow up, and I had to grow up very fast because there's no gray areas. Either you're going to be a victim or you're not. You know, and so my first probably 10 years in there, I was just living that prison life, just day to day. You know, I was reading books and stuff, but just day to day, I was just, you know, I was still young and just looking forward to visits on the weekend and just watching games, football games and whatever on the weekends and, you know, working during the week, whatever. You know, you work free in there. There's no compensation there, and you have no choice but to work.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, there's.
What type of jobs were you doing?
So I was a cook. I was a cook for years, and then I went to what they call the ODR, officers' dining room, and I started working over there, serving all the guards, and I did that, and then I worked in a place called Mop and Broom, and we manufacture brooms. So I learned how to manufacture straw brooms, and I did that for some years. And then I worked in a place called Mapping and Graphics, where we do topography maps. And I learned how to do all that type of stuff. And I don't know, just different jobs. You know, I might work somewhere for 3 or 4 years or 5 years, and then another department decides they want me. You know, and I go work over there. But I mean, all the years I worked, you know, I didn't get a single penny for it.
Damn.
You know.
Did you have family put money in your books or anything?
Yes. Okay. I was so blessed.
Yeah.
You know, so blessed, man. My dad, my mom, both of them have been down for me.
Yeah.
You know, since birth. You know, and that's unfortunate for a lot of people in there where their family abandons them.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom and dad, you know, they came, saw me faithfully, put money in my books. My brother Todd, you know, he came every chance he could, brought his kids and his wife. And obviously his kids, they grew up, you know, with their Uncle Aaron in prison.
Right. You
know, Ashley, she was, I think, 2, and Brandon was 1, and the other 2, they weren't even born yet. You know, and so they're all grown adults now.
Right.
You know, and they just grew up coming to visit me and seeing their Uncle Aaron in prison.
Yeah. So you're doing these odd jobs and stuff, and, you know, in your head, it's 50 years.
Yeah.
So are you even thinking about educating yourself, trying to keep some sort of hope of getting on the outside and getting a job or anything like that? I mean, I'm just trying to, I think of it and I just be like, fuck it. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, that was my attitude originally, because I was lost, man. I mean,
yeah.
You know, I went from a loving home. You know, they tore me from a loving home and threw me into the pits of hell, man. You know, and you know, you're lost. You're a lost soul. And for years, I really wasn't thinking about education. You know, I was just thinking about surviving.
Yeah.
You know, not becoming a victim or, you know, and just basically just living day to day, not looking at the future. I was hopeless. And of course, I had attorneys filing appeals for me throughout all them years. And, you know, it was just one appeal after another that was getting denied. And it wasn't until I got probably in my late 20s when I just woke up one morning, and I can't even pinpoint the day, but I just remember when I woke up and I just looked around and here's my cell bars, and I just told myself, man, you know, what in the world do you have yourself in, man? You know what? You got to fight. You know, you got to figure something out. You got to figure out, because, you know, I knew I was wrongfully convicted.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows my case like me, and I knew I was wrongfully convicted. I'm just thinking in my mind, like, you know, I got myself in such a a horrible situation. And that's when I started educating myself, when I started reading more books. And I would knock out 5, 6, 7, 8 books in a week, and sometimes even more.
Not me.
Yeah, I mean, I read well over 4,000 books.
Yeah,
in prison, and I'm a real history buff. Like, I love history, especially military history, World War II, Vietnam. I've read countless books on stuff like that. But I just started educating myself, and then I got in college, and I ended up getting some college degrees. I took 4 college trades, and then I started doing correspondence courses with FEMA.
Okay.
To become a first responder, and so I'm certified in 12 different fields with them. Be a first responder.
Yeah.
Because I just told myself, man, that if God helps me, if He opens the eyes of people that the eyes need to be opened, and I am released, I do get my freedom back. I want to be an asset. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. I want to be an asset to my community, to my state, and my country. I want to be able to help people.
Yeah.
And that was my whole attitude when I started really maturing, and I started just thinking about, man, that I want to be somebody that when people look at me, they can say, you know what, he's a good man.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Okay.
And so,
and you did that.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
In prison, what's your opinion of corrections officers? How are they helping the system? Are they hurting the system? Because nobody's going to have a perspective like yours. I can tell you how it looks as a cop on the outside looking in. Like, they show up to work, nobody escaped. The prisoners stayed safe. Because that's what it looks like on paper. But you lived it.
Yeah, I lived it 24 years. So I'm going to say like this. You do have good correctional officers in there. People that come do their job. They believe in what they do. And they're fair, they're respectful, and then you got a lot of them that are bad. A lot of people don't know this, man, but in the Texas prison systems, man, methamphetamines, or what they call ice, and K2 is rampant.
Getting inside the prisons?
Yeah, and I mean, it's rampant. I'm not even exaggerating. It's rampant.
Yeah. I
mean, people flopping around everywhere, and you ask, well, where it's coming from? Well, you know where it's coming from. We went on a quarantine for like 6 months due to COVID.
We couldn't have any visitors.
Yeah, and it was coming in even more then. So before, they would always blame visitors, saying, "Oh, what's the visitors bringing this stuff in?" But it's not. I mean, it's the facts are the facts, man. It's the guards.
Right.
They're bringing in methamphetamines. They're bringing in K2. They're bringing in cell phones. Because you'll have one of these guards. They're making minimum wage. They're not making good money.
Right.
And you have this guard. He can go to one of the Metro PCS, whatever, and get a $80 phone turned on, and take it into the prison and sell it for $1,000. Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, exactly. $1,000 cash.
Damn.
So that's the way they look at it, man. If I take 4 phones a month, I'm getting my paycheck plus $4,000. And so they're doing that, and it's unfortunate. Like I said, man, I'm not riding down on TDCJ, but they have a serious drug problem.
Right.
And I just think that there's this activist named Wolf Sittler, man. He's a great man, good friend of mine. He lives in Austin. My throat's dry.
Oh, you good, bro?
So he and I, we just try to battle the system, and we were trying to battle about the prefrontal lobe.
Right.
Just talking about that, saying, hey, look, if because there's like 800 of us in prison, kids that were under the age of 18 that have 40 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just saying, hey, man, you need to reevaluate this. You need to reconsider the harsh punishments that you gave these kids. Some of them got capital lives. You got to do 40 years just to see parole. And they were 16 years old. And I'm not saying release them. Yeah. I'm just saying give them a light at the end of the tunnel. After 20 years, if a person hasn't changed, after 20 years, they don't need to get out.
Yeah.
And So me and Wolf and I, we talked about it, and I just told him, I said, man, my personal opinion from living in that place, if they had incentives for inmates, you would lower the recidivism rates, and you would make that place a far better place. For instance, you tell an inmate, if you get your GED, we'll take off 4 months from the time that you see parole on the backside.
Okay.
All right. Get your GED, we'll take off 4 months. You get to see parole 4 months earlier.
Right.
If you go and take a trade, we'll take off 4 months. If you get a college degree, we'll take off 8 months or a year, whatever.
Yeah.
Just give them a sentence, because any prisoner, he wants to go home the fastest as possible. So you're getting what you want, which is educating this individual who needs education, because they showed that recidivism rates for a person with at least an associate's degree drops down to I think 5%. But the ones that don't have it, the recidivism rate is 60% that you come back to prison.
Yeah.
So it's just, for me, if you offer people opportunities through education, through different things, showing them, hey, you can see parole 3 years early. If you go get your GED, you get your college degree, you take a couple of trades. If you don't get no cases or disciplinary cases, if you do stuff like that, that place would be far better over a period of time than what it is right now.
Yeah.
And in turn, you're giving the inmate something to do productive with their time instead of turning to drugs.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it is. What they say, idle hands is the devil's playground.
Right.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's what it is in there. You got guys that are woefully ignorant, man. They have no education. Some of them can't even write. Grown men can't even write, but they can, roll up a K2 joint, or snort some dope, or they know how to sell dope or whatever. And when you're not giving people stuff to do, like you said, you need to give people stuff to do that's productive.
Yeah. Not
only for that individual, but for the system as a whole.
Right.
Because, just like Wolf told me, he made a comment about it. He said, this is the only business, because TDCJ is a business. He said, this is the only business where 60% of your product is coming back to you, is malfunctioned or whatever, and it's still able to run. Any other business, you're gonna collapse.
Right.
But over 60% of the inmates that get out go right back to prison.
Yeah.
It's because they never quit their drug habits, their alcohol habit, because they make what they call pistol in there, or wine, whatever you want to call it. You got dudes that are raging alcoholics. They're in there for intoxicated manslaughter. And guess what they're doing in there? They're in there making wine.
Right.
Drinking. So when they do go home, they're not sobered up. They're going right back to the bottle.
Yeah.
You have to make changes on the inside to hope that those people will change and be better, productive citizens on the outside.
And part of the problem I have with the criminal justice system is, let's say you go and you get 5 degrees, you get 4 different trades, you get all this stuff. You still have a felony on your record. Yours is different. The best job you're going to get is the jobs nobody wants. Absolutely. So what's that going to make you do? Yeah. Go hustle. Yeah. Because that's the only way you're going to get real money. Now you're educated and you can't do shit with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at Aaron's, this list of accomplishments that he had, behind bars with all the cards stacked against you, it is, I just remember I saw it and I was blown away. Yeah. If you read, he's over here I got a couple of, it is like a resume of all these skills and trades. It looks like he never stopped learning one thing after another,
Yeah. And it sucks that, it took you 10 years even to get your mind wrapped around changing, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because you got to look at what's the point of prison. Yeah. I think it's like a 3-tier thing for me: punishment, rehabilitation, and justice.
Absolutely.
So those are the 3 pillars that I look at for that. The rehabilitation part for me is the education, the trades, all that stuff. But the way the system's set up, it doesn't allow you to really utilize that. You know, for a long time, I heard that you couldn't even be a barber on the outside. I don't know if that's true. It's just a old school one that I heard. Like, yeah, you can take a trade to learn how to be a barber, but you can't be a barber on the outside.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But I can tell you that like people that, you know, get into maintenance in prison, maybe go take a trade, like a plumbing trade or a welding trade, or let's say HVAC, electrical, whatever. So you can get out and you can work for, you know, electrician, but you can't be a certified electrician yourself.
Right.
You can work for a plumber, but you can't be a master plumber.
Right.
You know, so you stay right here.
Yeah. You're pigeonholed. And I don't know the correct fix for that, other than saying once you've done your time, you've done your time.
Absolutely.
That's the way I look at it. I don't see the point of holding a felony on somebody for, what is it, 7 years? Or is it for life? I don't even know how long.
It depends.
Like, as far as a job would do a background check on you, I don't know if in a background check a felony falls off after 7 years or if it stays for life. I don't know. I don't hire people, but at the same time, like, to me, it's bullshit. Like, I want you to, if you're wanting to be a productive member of society, I want you to go as high as you can go. You know, but then I get the argument too, like, what if that person's, you know, convicted of homicide and now they're working next to your daughter? You know, I'm just making up an example.
Yeah, now, people are naturally going to be alarmed.
Right.
You know, because they don't know you.
Right.
It's like, you know, when I got pulled over in Mississippi, they didn't know me, you know, and so it's very understandable when somebody finds out your past, even though you are now a changed person, your past is still there.
Yeah.
And so it's automatically going to make people leery, you know, real cautious of you.
And how many people have done what you do? You know what I mean? Yeah. You're probably in the upper, you know, 3% that go to prison and then have all these successes while you were doing your time, and then to get out and have the mindset you have. And I'll get into that because there's so many unique things about you. I will get into it though. So I was going to get into the suggestions, you know, because I want to improve the criminal justice system. That's the point of the show. I want to improve things. I want to, the problem with prison is it's out of sight, out of mind for the public. Mm-hmm. You know, you and I can sit here and work on police stuff.
Well, and it's so easy too, because like I went to elementary school with Aaron. That's how I know him. Yeah. Like we grew up together. So I know him or knew him before he went to prison. So it's easier for me to be attached to his story and follow him and say, you know, what's going on with him. But like, do you feel like you are the exception to the rule? Or do you feel like there's just so many people that are like you?
I believe that there's a lot of people like me in prison. I believe that there's a lot of people that were, you know, there's some people that were wrongfully convicted. There's some people that were rightfully convicted, but now are better people. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's a lot of people in there that's getting educations, that go to church on the weekends, that are deacons in the church. So I wouldn't say that, you know, I'm not special in that sense. I mean, some people might on the outside look at me and say that I am, and that's deeply appreciated, the people that do, but I just feel like there's a lot more people like me that were either wrongfully convicted or rightfully convicted, but that are better people. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you would know better than I would. I'm only going by recidivism and stuff like that. So, so to improve that type of stuff, do you think there needs to be a real checks and balances audit done?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the Texas Department of Criminal Justice needs a complete overhaul. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't even know this, but they're so short of staff that they're going to other countries asking people to come work for them. Now, if you look into it, it's crazy because
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like nobody wants to work for TDCJ. I mean, they have great dental health benefits, stuff like that, but the pay is not very good. And so, about my last 8 years in prison, we started seeing a lot of people from like Nigeria and stuff like that coming over here and working for TDCJ. And you know, I'm fine with giving anybody an opportunity to work. That's great, but we're talking about thousands of correctional officers that are from these other countries. They can't hardly speak English, and you're putting them into authority position where they're having direct authority over another U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
And for me, that to me, that bothers me.
Right.
It bothered me. But yeah, it's just that they need a complete overhaul. They need to pay their staff better. They need to be harsher with their staff, like as far as not make sure they don't bring contraband in.
Right. Not just fire them, charge them.
Oh, absolutely. You need to charge them. They need to be charged. There needs to be harsh repercussions, because these are people with very sick and very real addictions.
Yeah, they're victimizing people that are already at their lowest.
Yes.
I mean,
and for $1, you know, they're trying to get money, and they don't care that it's destroying these people even further than what they're already destroyed.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I truly believe, and I know there's a lot of activists out there that they need a complete overhaul. Texas Department of Criminal Justice.
Well, there ain't many people that are going to have the perspective you have.
Mm.
I mean, let's face it. You did 24 years. That's a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's a lifetime, you know. So let's move on from that. You're doing these appeals. This kid that you were friends with, he finally, conscience gets the best of him. He goes back and he says, you know, like, I fucked up. I lied on the stand.
Now, hold on. I have to add something.
Okay.
So meanwhile, Aaron, tell Eric what happened with the guy that murdered your friend.
Okay, so I got 50 years, and because he wasn't physically able to stand trial before me, they postponed his case, his trial. I get 50 years, and about I think it was like 6 months or 7 months, maybe 8 months later, he was able to stand trial, and they gave him 30. So he got 30 years for killing Omar, and I got 50 years for shooting him for killing Omar.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And he didn't get organized crime or some gang related thing. Yeah. Holy shit.
And he was eligible for parole and got out when?
He's actually still in, but he was eligible for parole at 15 years, but he's still in there. From what I've been told, obviously I haven't spoken to him, but from what I've been told, that he was kind of a bad character.
Oh, he was just acting up. He was
acting up. So his first time seeing parole, he did 15 years, and then he saw parole, and they gave him a 5-year set off. And he saw him again at 20 years, and they gave him another 5-year set off. So he's probably looking at coming up probably in about the next 6 months or so.
Okay. Yeah. Damn. All right. So this guy gets 30.
Yes.
And you have no contact with that kid.
No.
Okay. And did your attorneys ever reach out and be like, was this, you guys weren't in gangs. He's not in a gang. Like, this isn't gang related, nothing. Did he ever reach out and do anything like that?
Yeah. So one of my old attorneys named Randy Schaefer, he's in Houston. And he actually went over there and spoke to Joe Cruz. And Joe Cruz said, you know what, let me think about it. You know, so then he reached back out to my attorney and said, you know what? He said, yeah, I'll help. I'll write an affidavit saying that what they did to him was wrong. And I can't remember what all he said in the affidavit, but I have it at home. Maybe I should have brought it. But he basically just said, you know, what I did was worse than what he did. And although he did try to take my life, I did take his friend's life. And it had nothing to do with gangs. And his shooting me had nothing to do with gangs. You know, and he deserves a second chance. Really? Yeah. So he actually advocated for me.
So the dude you shot, he's advocated for you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So he advocates for you. Your old friend reverses his statement.
Yeah.
And the appeal goes through.
Okay. So as far as that goes, so I had, I think, 8 different attorneys fighting my case over the years. You know, we'd have one, and, you know, he would, you know, we would get rid of him, then we hire another one. And so I exhausted all my appeals. All my legal remedies were exhausted.
Okay.
And I found myself kind of in a hopeless situation. And I was on the rec yard one day, and there's this guy, he always stayed in the law library, and I studied my case. Like, when it comes to organized crime, I know the law. I don't know law about too much else, but I know the law about
You're a
organized
specialist.
crime. Yeah. And so I'm sitting out there in the rec yard, and I'm looking through the fence. There's a lot of pastures and stuff out there, and I'm just looking, and I'm just sitting there. He walks up and sits down beside me, and he said, "What's up, man?" And I just told him I'm just thinking. He was like, "What you thinking about?" So I just told him, I said, "Man, I just don't know where to turn, man." I've been fighting my case. At this time, it'd been, I think, about 22 and a half years. And I said, "Man, I've been fighting my case all these years, man, and I'm not getting no relief. It's one appeal denial after another." And he asked me, he said, "Man, you ever filed to the CIU?" And at this point, I never even heard of the CIU. And I said, "CIU?" I said, "No, what is that?" He said, "It's called Conviction Integrity Unit." And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "It's in the district attorney's office." And he said, "Write to the district attorney's office, ask them for an application, and then fill it out, try to get you an attorney to help you prepare it, and, send it in and see what happens." So that's what I did. I had Wolf, my friend Wolf Sidler, I had him. I talked to him about it, and he went online and he had them send me an application. And then, so I started reaching out to attorneys. And one attorney after another just telling me, "Man, it's useless. It's useless." One attorney told me, he said, "Man," he said, "you're asking the very prosecuting office that has battled you every step of the way to reconsider."
And basically admit fault.
Yeah. And he said,
in a sense.
Yeah. And he just told me, he said, "Man, just accept it, man. This is just what it is. You got 50 years. And so Wolf, he started encouraging me, man. He said, "Look, you got college degrees. You write real well. Nobody knows your case like you. Write your own writ." And at this point, I'd never, ever filed any kind of legal document in my life. And so he just gave me that confidence. Mm-hmm. And so I just started studying my case, studying it, reading, taking notes. And then I guess it was a couple months later, after just every day I'm putting in 4, 5, 6 hours in, just studying, writing down, taking notes. And I sat down and I started typing it up. And I typed up a 38-page, what I call a writ. It's an application, but I call it a writ because it's 38 pages of arguments on why I'm asking the CIU to please reconsider my case. And so I sent it in. And this is the first legal document I've ever put together in my life. And before this point, it was one denial after another. Mm-hmm. I sent it in, and about 9 weeks later, I got notification that they agreed I was wrongfully convicted. So I beat my own case.
You beat your own fucking case. Yeah. Holy shit.
Beat my own case.
Bro, that's legit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Whenever my brother Todd told me on the phone, I nearly collapsed. I was standing up on the phone, and like right now I just kind of, just, so I'm standing there on the phone, and he tells me, he said, "Man," he said, "have you talked to anybody today?" And I said, "No, I haven't talked to anybody yet." And he said, "Man, do I got some news for you?" And I was like, "What's up?" He said, we got a letter from Sharon Wilson. And I said, "What does it say?" So he started telling me. I'm telling you, I nearly passed out.
Holy shit. Yeah. Like, I can't, the weight of a sentence, 50 years, just suddenly, just like that. So, and in 9 weeks, that's a fucking quick turnaround. And what that tells me, knowing what I know about law, your shit was so fucking tight in what you wrote. Yeah. They were like, I can't, like, there's nothing, there's no gap in this. And to get them out. It
was actually ADA. He's the chief over the Conviction Integrity Unit. His name's Stephen Condor. And he's the one that actually investigated my case. Mm-hmm. And once he, went over my case and realized that, hey, man, there's some serious issues here, he brought it to the DA, Sharon Wilson. And she reviewed it, and they agreed. They were like, "No, this ain't right."
No shit.
Yeah. So it took roughly about a year after that. It was close to a year after when I found out, before I was able to finally get back to Tarrant County, and they were able to release me.
So they tell you, like, yeah, your stuff's good. Like, you were wrongfully convicted. Yeah. But is there, this is where I'm ignorant on this. I don't know. Like, do you have to do like a mini trial real quick, or is there something? How does that work?
Okay, so what they did is Sharon Wilson, her and the judge in my court, and they agreed that I needed to be released pending the Supreme Court of Texas ruling. So they signed off on it, had me extradited back to Tarrant County. Two sheriff deputies come got me from a Cofield unit. They brought me back, and then they released me while we waited for the Supreme Court of Texas to rule in my case. And it probably took about 3 months, maybe 4.
Yeah.
Before they came back and they agreed that I was wrongfully convicted. So now my situation as it is right now, the Supreme Court of Texas vacated that conviction, the organized crime conviction, and they sent my case back to Tarrant County. So now I'm waiting on a hearing with Tarrant County to where they could finalize, my case.
Yeah.
And basically determine, what needs to take place. Because I was guilty of a crime, but I was wrongfully convicted of another.
Right.
And so it's a very unusual case because, obviously I was guilty of shooting somebody, but they convicted me of something I wasn't guilty of. And because of that, I ended up doing 12 to 14 more years in prison than what I should have done.
Yeah.
And the emotional, the stress and the toll that takes on a person's body, me going to prison at 17 with a 50-year sentence.
Yeah.
A wrongful conviction, just growing up with that.
Yeah.
And
well, not only that, is there going to be any sort of checks and balances on trying to use somebody that's in a vulnerable state to get you on a crime that you didn't even qualify for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a shady practice in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Me as a detective, I do stuff all the time where I'm like, the other guy's in the other room talking right now. That's about as deep as it goes for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not using your plight against him, and you know what I mean? Like, there's a moral and ethical line.
These are kids.
Yeah, basically what you're doing is you're trying to get the truth out. You're trying to squeeze the truth, and then that's very understandable.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to leverage somebody to lie. Yeah. Just to get one up on you. Yeah. And look what it did to him. So that needs to be addressed, in my opinion. That's one of the bigger concerns I have is that a normal practice? I don't know. I'm not on that side of the house. So is that type of thing a normal practice? And maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't agree with it. I don't think that should be a way. I should be able to get you on the truth alone. I shouldn't have to leverage based on something like that. And then, so you get that. So you got to finalize your case. And then once you finalize your case, is that basically trying to make it so your record doesn't reflect that anymore? Yeah.
See, that's what, I don't really know. Cause like, one of my attorneys that did fight my case, after I filed that writ and then the judge and the DA agreed I was wrongfully convicted, he came back on board. He said, look, I want to come help you get this across the finish line. I'm doing it for free, pro bono. And then
he left your ass.
Yeah, and then another attorney, he came.
You did all the work. He owes you money.
Yeah. He's like, hey, can I have this win? Right. Like, no.
Then the Texas Innocent Project, when they got word of it, they came on and they said, we want to assist them too.
I've heard of the Innocence Project through Joe Rogan's podcast.
I'm surprised they're not like, hey, we want to hire you.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, because you could start advocating for cases that you could look through, Yeah.
Well, there's actually one that I'm trying to help the guy right now.
Really?
Yeah. I'm trying to help him, so I'm working on that. But of course, I'm trying to live life too.
Yeah.
After being in prison all them years, I've been everywhere though, man. We went to Florida. I've been all over Mississippi, all over Florida.
I don't know why you went to Mississippi. That ain't living life, bro.
Yeah.
Just kidding, Mississippi folk. So are you going to get any compensation from the state?
That's what I'm definitely going to be trying to fight for, because, once again, had I been rightfully convicted,
right,
I'd have been home 10, 12, 14 years ago.
Right. And how do you put a value on that?
And exactly. And I mean, and all of that, looking at my situation as it is right now, I'm 42 years old. I'm getting treated like a 16-year-old driver because I have no driver history. So I'm paying over $300 for car insurance.
Oh my God.
Damn.
Yeah. And I have no credit.
Right.
I have no health insurance. I have nothing in Social Security, so I can't pull from it eventually. You know, I'm in a dire situation where if I would have got out 12, 14 years ago,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be at 42 years old in this situation I'm in right now.
So this is the shit I'm talking about. This is the type of things that I would have never even thought of that. And look how long I've been in the criminal justice system. I would have never thought of that. So these are the types of things that I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how. But
and here you are doing the right thing too. Like you're not trying to go without car insurance. You're not trying to go without health insurance. Like you just know, like it's
And have you had trouble finding employment?
So the job in Mississippi when I was working for Rivers Utilities, the lineman work, we were installing fiber optics. 3 of my nephews work for them, and one of my nephews, he's like the right hand man to the owner of the company. So they brought me in on that job, and then when I came back to Texas, when I left that job, I started doing mason work. So, and I'm just doing it with another friend of mine. So as far as like, you know, going in and finding, you know, a legit company that has 401k, health insurance, and,
Right.
You know, I haven't been successful in finding something like that.
Okay, I was just curious if you tried or if you were, you know, getting the runaround because they see that you have some sort of conviction or anything like that. But so we touched on the corrections officers. There's obviously a lot of fixes that need to be done in your opinion based on that. And hopefully maybe this episode will shine some light to people that it will network through properly. Maybe we can get some light shed on that. What about the police back when all this went down versus today? What has been your experience with them? Just curious.
So my experience when I first got arrested, obviously it wasn't a good one, but it was mostly my fault, you know, my creation. I believe that they were over ambitious, wanting a conviction and wanting the best conviction they can get with the most time, because my case was all over TV. It was all in the papers. And so, you know, who wants to try a guy, give him 15 years for aggravated assault with deadly weapon when he's all over TV? You know, they were looking for something more powerful. And when they convicted me, I still remember, I can't remember which one it was, but I believe it was one of the DAs, one of the ADAs. He said, let this be an example to all the gangbangers in Fort Worth. We're not going to tolerate you anymore. And here I am. I'm not even a gangbanger, but you're using me as an example.
Right.
You know,
so the police side isn't necessarily the ones putting going with the final charges. Police, what we do is we throw a net.
Yeah.
Like, all right, these are the charges that we see qualifies for.
Yeah.
Or at least what we think they qualify for. It's the DA's job to check those out.
Absolutely.
And say, oh, this one's not good. Okay, this one's good. Yeah. So I'm not trying to defend the police on this, but that would be the DA. Yeah,
no, it was definitely the DAs. Both of the ADAs that fought my case, they were over ambitious.
Okay.
You know, they wasn't looking for truth and justice. They were looking for a conviction. You know, they were looking for another stripe on their their collar, whatever. And they were willing to do it at whatever cost.
Gotcha.
You know, that's what they want to do. And I'm not speaking down on any kind of DA. There's a lot of good DAs. There's a lot of people, they just want to do a good job. They want the truth out there. And if somebody needs to be punished, they want to make sure they get punished. They want justice.
Gotcha.
And you got some of them that don't. And it's unfortunate that I personally, from my experience, I feel that both the DAs that were on my case, they were hungry, you know, and they wanted a conviction. And they didn't want to settle for a second degree. They wanted the first degree.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately for me, you know, they were able to get that.
And this was back in 97?
Yes.
Okay. I was a freshman in high school, by the way, in 97. So I was 14. So I was 2 or 3 years younger than you. And I can't math very well.
Now imagine that from the time you were a freshman in high school till just a little while ago.
Yeah.
Like May 8th of this year.
Yeah,
May 8th.
Damn. We got to take him somewhere. I don't know where, but we just got to take him out, give him a night on the town. I don't know a way to make it up. There's no way. You can't make it up.
You can't.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I get, and you own it. This is a part of love. You own it. Yeah. You did do something fucked up, and you own that part of it. But at the same time, you know, the system's the way it is for a reason, you know, so you don't get fucked over.
Yeah.
You know, if this is where it should have been, you know, obviously yours got overturned. The system worked eventually, but now look at the fallout.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have any kids,
no.
Nothing like that.
No, I definitely want some. You know, I've actually talked to my girl Brooke about that. I want to have at least one. I mean, I would love to have 4 or 5, but at my age, you know, I feel like that's you know, it was stolen away from me.
Yeah.
And but I would definitely like to at least have one, you know, where my life continues through them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then I could raise them right, and you know, I personally believe like one of the greatest gifts that God gives you is the ability to see your own flesh and blood in this young life.
Yeah,
you look at this kid and you say, well, he has my eyes, or he has my nose, or, you know, whatever. And you just look at me, you know that this is yours.
Right. It
was God's creation, but you made it happen.
Right. Unfortunately for my oldest, she looks just like me, so I feel so bad for her. It's terrible. Yeah. But yeah, I get what you're saying. And I can't, I'm sorry, I try to bring humor to everything. I know it's a serious subject, it's and cool. I just try. That's my way of coping because I don't want to cry. So, God, I'm so close every time he starts talking about it. God dang it, fucker. I get emotional for him.
Thank you, man.
It sucks, and there's no way to fix it, and it just. Give me a second.
And it really sucks because I feel like it's easy for people to bury their head in the sand because when you don't deal with people in these situations like we do, it's easy for you to say he's a criminal, and then you just move on about your day. Like, he shot someone. But like for me, like I grew up with Aaron from the time we were in elementary school. Like I knew him in a different way, and then you look. And when you really look, and I don't know, it's odd. I don't know that I would have had access to his story had we not been friends before. Like, how would I have seen that?
Right.
Because I don't read the news. I don't look at the news anymore, you know?
And I try to avoid it.
I look at it and you just look at all the facts of it and you look at what he's done and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot... I feel like that's the beauty of your story. You cannot look at your story and write you off.
Yeah.
Like, what else do we want from someone?
Right.
What else do we want from someone if we are in this to make a difference in our communities apart from what Aaron has done?
Yeah.
Like, what else can you humanly ask of someone?
And that's why I get to the point of what's the point of prison? Is it punishment? Is it rehabilitation? Is it justice? So rehabilitation to me has always been the forefront. We're supposed to help you bring you back into society. And the way it's set up right now is, you're back in society, but you're out here on the outskirts. We're not going to let you get too far in there.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up. I don't like that. And I don't know how to fix it, but the only thing I can do is bring light to it. So your story obviously is going to bring such a unique perspective that people just, and we're still going to get people to look at it. Oh, fuck him. He shot someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. And I guarantee you're not that same person.
Well, and then that's the problem with advocacy, right? Is what he just said. Like when we talk about how we talked on my episode about Halley's Heroes, or you have like childhood cancer or whatever your thing is that you advocate for. Yeah. It's just what Aaron just said. We want to put him in this advocacy spot, but at some point he's like, I'm ready to live my life, and he deserves that. Yeah. So who picks up that burden? Yeah. Of saying, that's it, we're going to change it. Right. Same thing with Cancer Kid. You have a parent who is in that day in and day out, and then their kid is healed. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, I want to live my life, and they deserve that too. Yeah. So it comes down to what do we do with it? Because a Facebook share is lazy advocacy. It is. And the optimist of me, I'm eternally optimistic about everything, and to a fault. And I look at Facebook, I'm like, well, it's better than nothing. It is. No, it is. But and that's how we see these stories too. But so yeah, and you take it with a grain of salt because it's a dime a dozen. So I don't know. And then you got places like the Innocence Project,
I didn't know they had chapters. Like there's a Texas one.
Yeah.
Okay. If you know anybody from there, I would love to have an Innocence Project person here on the show too. You could come back with them.
Yeah, I can definitely set that up.
Okay. So, police side, correction side, DA side, we've touched on all of those. And then, in your moment to reflect on all of it, what do you hope to accomplish now for you, and what do you hope to accomplish for the system? Not saying that you're doing anything for it, but what do you hope comes of this?
I mean, I hope and pray that eventually change takes place for the system, because it needs it. But as far as for myself, I take things day to day. I feel so blessed to be alive, to have my health, to be free. I'm grateful. Even though people say, man, well, how can you, do 24 years in prison and you can turn around and say you feel blessed or you feel grateful? And it's because, when you're in a place like that and you lose everything, you're stripped of everything. You learn the value of every little thing in life. Walking into a gas station to be able to get whatever you want.
Yeah.
Be able to turn left instead of right. To be able to hug people, to be able to embrace people, to be able to conversate with people, to be able to spend time with people that you love, to be able to try to make a positive impact on others.
Yeah.
Like sitting here with y'all right now, being able to talk to y'all to where you can see who I am as a man, and just me myself hoping in my heart that I leave a positive impact on y'all, that you look back and you say, you know what, I'm glad I brought him on. I'm glad he's a good man. For me, it's just that's the way I want to live life. I want to live life where people, look at me and say, he's a good man. And I want to be a positive impact on other people's lives, and however way I can.
Yeah.
Whether it's emotionally, whether it's helping them with stuff that they need, whatever. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I took them FEMA classes. It's not to make money. I'm not trying to work for them. I'm just saying that if something happens and y'all need me, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'll drop whatever I'm doing to try to help, my fellow citizens.
Yeah. It makes sense for a guy that wanted to do military. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that option's out the door now.
Yeah.
So what's another way you can serve your country?
Yeah. Something like that.
FEMA, I think, is a great example. So,
or trying to bridge the gap. Like you were talking about, just being somebody that can, because I can go talk to people that are in the streets. They look at me, tatted up or whatever, and they're going to feel like I'm one of them.
You relate, yeah.
I relate to them. But at the same time, I love the police.
Yeah. And that was going to get to that.
Yeah, I do.
It cracks me up because who's your favorite president?
Donald Trump.
See, there's another one.
I love him.
I got a convicted person that is a police fan. He brought me a thin blue line flag. And he also likes Donald Trump. He's a diehard conservative.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, it's so strange. Like, to me, I would have never guessed that ever. But this isn't a political show by any means, not a religious show. Yeah. But you being in your unique position, that's just so strange to me. Like, I didn't see that coming. Yeah. I didn't see that coming at all. I expected, if I was going to pick a political affiliate, it'd be Democratic. And that's just me guessing, and a disdainful taste of police. Maybe more towards the courts, but, it's weird. The courts are who screwed you over. Yeah. But the courts are also who saved you. Yeah. Well, you saved you, but because
God saved you.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, he gave me the fighter spirit.
Yeah.
God gave me the will to not give up, to continue fighting. Yeah. Just to remain, resolute, just push forward. Yeah. No matter how many no's there is, sooner or later you'll get a yes, and it happened for me.
And how about sitting there and being told, like, give up, and like every door is shut, and
by experts.
Yeah, by experts.
By multiple experts.
Like, it's one thing to be told by, just your cellmate or whoever, like, dude, it's not gonna do you any good. I've been doing it for years. Like, okay, but now you're being told by the legal professionals.
Multiple.
Did any family members ever tell you to give up? That'd be a crusher too.
Yeah, no, none of my family. They like I said, I've been truly blessed with, you know, an abundance of love from all of them.
Yeah,
I mean, they just been there for me, you know, and unwaveringly.
Yeah.
And but yeah, just it was the legal, you know, professionals. They tell me, hey, you know, you've exhausted all your legal remedies. You might as well just accept it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I for a brief period of time, I worked in the prisons for the military, the Air Force. And I was just a regular old corrections officer. And to see guys that they're only doing 6 months to a year, you know, at the longest, to see the hope and the importance of the phone call they got once a week. Just the phone call. That was it. For guys that only were being there for 6 months to a year. I can only imagine the impact that it has to have somebody come visit you while you know you're sitting there. Because I don't know, how often was it once a month? Was it once a week?
No, so I had multiple people coming to see me. You know, once again, I was blessed. But I got visits, I'm going to say at least 3 times a month. So, so at least 3 out of every 4 weekends, I would get a visit. And yeah, I mean, it's you can't even put into words how important it is to be able to have people on the outside.
Just mental health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, just to, you know, be there for you and love on you. When you go to visit and you're able to hug them, I mean, that hug means everything, man, because, you know, there ain't no hugging in prison.
Right.
The only physical contact you're getting in there is going to be some violence.
You're right.
You know, and so when you're able to go out there to visit, and you're able to basically escape from that place into this small little room for 2 hours to be able to hug your family, talk to them about life in general, what's going on out there, to be able to just love on them.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're right back in it. You know,
was it one-on-one or was it you and everybody else that's getting visitation?
Yeah, it's everybody, like whoever, because they'd have a visitation room and they'd have a bunch of tables.
Yeah.
And so TDC, what they got, you get 2 adults and as many children as you want at a time. So and you only get 1 visit a weekend. So you get that 1 visit. It could be up to 2 adults and how many ever kids.
Right.
And but no, I was blessed. But yeah, you know, like you said, man, that the mental impact of having people in your life, that could be a breaking point.
Yeah. For
a lot of inmates. You know, a lot of inmates commit suicide because they don't have people. You know, and when you don't have nobody and you have, like me, myself, pretty much all sense of hope was gone. But at least I still had them. You
had an anchor.
Yeah. I still had my mom. I still had my dad. I still had my brother. I still had everybody, you know, that was in my life. I still had them to love on me, to be there for me, to send me pictures, to do whatever. And that definitely, you know, it helped me to be strong and to continue pushing on.
That's a different kind of love, because 24 years and they stayed steady with that, because you know how easy it is. Well, I got stuff going on this weekend. I won't make it this weekend. They understood just what it is to you. I think that's a different love. And there's a lot, like you said, that maybe they start out hot. Maybe they are visiting and all that stuff, but you know how it is. You get busy, you get one thing that you're like, well, okay, I'll go next week. Sorry. Like, and you, of course, you got to be understanding. None you can do.
Absolutely.
And because you don't want to alienate the person that that is your visitor. And then 1 visit becomes 2, 2 visits become 3. And then where is your head at after, you know, a month, 2 months of somebody that can't make a 2-hour visit? You know what I mean? So, God, I keep trying to put myself in your shoes, and I just can't picture the loneliness, like that. Even knowing you have family, like in between that time, when are you stuck in your cell the whole time? Is it like ad sec type thing? What is it?
It really depends on what part of the units that you're in, because you know, you got different levels. You got general population, and general population. They have to rack up, go to their cells at 10 o'clock at night, and they can't come out until 7 o'clock in the morning. So they're locked up during that period in their cell, and then they can come out to the day room or go to the rec yard or do whatever during the day. you don't have to come out if you don't want to, but that's just the hours that you have an opportunity to go out.
Mm-hmm.
Medium custody, which is high security, they get to come out for 4 hours a day. You know, and it kind of varies on when they're going to let them out, but you get 4 hours of day room or outside recreation. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So for 20 hours a day, you're inside a 5x9 cell. I mean, I could literally palm the walls.
Right.
Both my palms.
Climbing like a little kid, like you used to do in between the doors.
I could literally palm the walls. So, I mean, you're in that 20 hours a day.
Is that what you were in?
Okay. For a brief period of time, I was down there because just, you know, stuff happening in prison. You know, you're trying to defend yourself or whatever, and then caught.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you started it.
Yeah, it just
yeah.
And then you got closed custody, which they're locked up for 22 hours a day. They get 2 hours of recreation, some kind of form of recreation, where they stretch their legs. And then you got administrative segregation, which they have zero contact with other inmates.
Yeah.
You know, when they do let you out, you're going into a small cage with a little basketball goal, and there's nobody else coming in that cage with you.
Mm-hmm. So
you have zero contact with other inmates.
Damn. So, but most of the time you were general.
Yeah, I was general population.
Yeah. And it's hard for people that don't deal with the system like we do to understand that, like there's politics in prison.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's some movies portray it. I think they get a little Hollywood with it, but that's true.
Yeah.
And then within that, like you said, like you can't avoid a fight sometimes, but either way, it doesn't matter. In prison, you get in trouble regardless, even if you didn't start it, right?
Yeah.
So, we don't have to get into the politics side of the prison stuff, but, I try to wrap my head around not seeing, my family, like not having that access. You can't just make phone calls whenever you want, can you?
Okay. So I guess it was probably about 10, 12 years ago, they brought phones in. So about my first 10, 12 years in prison, there was no phone access. You know, you didn't make phone calls, you get letters and you get a visit.
Oh, so you didn't even get phone calls.
Yeah. So then they brought phones in there. It's like pay phones.
Yeah.
And so
you had to have a phone card or something?
Yeah.
Like,
no, you punch in your number.
Okay.
It's voice recognition. And then if you have money on your account, they'll just take it off your account. Or you can make a collect call to somebody on the outside and they'll pay for it on the outside.
Okay.
But yeah, once they brought the phones, that was a blessing in itself, because you're able to talk to people every day and stuff like that. But so they brought the phones and I was able to make phone calls.
Damn. No cell phones though, right?
No.
Not legal ones.
Yeah,
not legal
you
ones.
had them in there, but they're not legal. And if you get caught with one, I've seen dudes get 30 years for a cell phone.
Woo.
Dang.
Yeah.
Have you seen these inmates on TikTok? Like, how are they getting on TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dangerous. That's a dangerous game right there.
Stupid.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's dumb shit.
That's a dangerous game. I already had too much time as it was. I don't want to touch none of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. But, I sit there and I think, like, if I were to put in prison right now and they let me have my cell phone, I'd be all right. I'd be all right.
You get your ass kicked
sit there and
so
play
fast.
Games. Oh, for sure.
Oh, okay.
For sure. I would for sure. Yeah, jiu-jitsu doesn't help you in prison because they don't fight one-on-one. Yeah.
You ain't going to make it.
Nope. Nope. I'm just going to sit in the corner like, you got some of that ad seg? This motherfucker right here. Volunteers.
Yeah.
That's tribute.
Yeah.
So, well, man, I appreciate, I mean, we're not done.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That story, all that stuff. I feel like I have to apologize to you. I have nothing to do with it, but I'm just sorry that happened to you. I love the fact, I think I love the most that you're like, yeah, I fucked up. I did do some wrong, but I didn't deserve this. And I agree with you. I don't think you did. Obviously you didn't, because the CJ system let you out, based on you being a badass and taking the law in your own hand. You're like, you know what? I'm going to go Lincoln lawyer on this bitch. And
you know what? It makes me so sad though, because it's like, just the potential. Like if you can do that, like,
yeah, exactly. And if you're a spiritual person and you believe that there's a plan, maybe this was for a reason. I mean, that's a hopeful way to think of it, for you to do a lot of good that you couldn't have done without this experience.
Well, I've told people, I said, man, through my experience, I found a deeper meaning of life. You know, when you've been stripped of everything, you learn the value of those things. Yeah. And so for me, I'm thankful for my experience because it made me to the man I am. So I'm very thankful. Now, is it unfortunate that I had to do so much time? Yeah, it is. I mean, because 24 years, that's a long time. But no, I'm very thankful, and I know that because of my experience in there and because of the trials and tribulations I went through, I know that that's what made me into the man that I am today. And so for that, I'm deeply thankful for it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get compensated for it somehow. I don't know what, because like I said, like you said, you come out, your car insurance is through the roof.
Yeah.
Because you've got no driving history. What else was it? Your health insurance. Yeah. You ain't going to have health insurance.
No 401k. No, I've never invested in Social Security, so I have nothing there. I have nothing in 401k.
Right.
And here I am, 42 years old.
Yep.
And in a blink of an eye, I'll be 52. In a blink of an eye again, I'll be 62. And you'll be looking like, I'm going to get to a point to where I can't work no more. My body's going to be too beat up or whatever. And had I been rightfully tried and convicted, I would have been home, 10, 12, 14 years ago, and I'll be in a better position in this day right here.
Yeah. Yeah, you may have been in your late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, exactly.
So, which today, that seems to be like when most people start getting their life together anymore. A bunch of people stay living at home too long.
We're starting over at 40.
Yeah, we're starting over at 40, going out and trying to be Doogie Howser. Shit, look at my wife. This sweetheart, she gets a present from my wife doing the nursing school stuff, and this stuff shows up on the porch. We get this package, and I'm like, I remember her telling me she was going to do something. I just didn't know what it was. And all of a sudden, I order Amazon quite a bit to the point where my wife gets pissed off.
I do too.
Yeah, dude. It's so easy. Yeah.
I love Amazon.
Yeah. So all of a sudden this package shows up and she opens it and it's all this nursing, like little nursing gifts. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I didn't fucking order that. She's like, oh, is this from you? I'm like, I was that close to like, yeah. I didn't though. I was like, no, I don't know where the hell that came from. And it took probably 10, 15 minutes. And then all the synapses started going off and she was like, oh, it's from Brandy. I was like, that bitch, she outdid me already. So
I'm proud of her. I'm proud of anybody that puts effort into themselves and scary things,
Yeah. I feel bad because she took the back seat through my career.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't make her do that. I don't want to come off like I was like, no, bitch, it's my turn. I didn't say that. She supported me and she never really had a dream. Like, she just wanted to work. Like, she's like, just work. And if it interests me, I'll do it. So she started cutting hair. She got her hair license. So that was fun. And then I did the military thing and she didn't really like starting clientele over and doing that. So she worked in a bank for quite a while and she liked that. And she worked at the chiropractic office when we moved here to Texas. And I think that's what kind of triggered the helping people and whatnot. So she, at 36, 37 years old, she was like, I want to go be a nurse. What do you think about that? And I was like, fuck, let's go. So she's not starting over, but just starting. She's just starting to follow a dream.
Oh.
So I think that's pretty cool. Brandy's been one of her biggest fans. And she's probably one of your biggest fans. And I'm a fan. I mean, dude, what I admire the most is just your attitude towards it. Like, you don't let it defeat you. You know what I mean? And that's the embodiment that I try to project all the time, is just like, okay, how can I make a shitty situation fun? How can I make it look good?
Well, and then to be raising young men and be like, hey, don't ever think there's somebody you can't learn something from.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
it'd be very easy, as a mom.
Yeah.
Or right off this convict, hey, you don't have anything to learn from him. And what a shame that would be.
Yeah.
Because my kids could learn so much.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the situation. Don't tell me about your bad day.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
tell me something about how your Nintendo doesn't work.
Right. First world problems.
Why don't you tell me something?
Yeah.
Like, and then here you have it, like, no excuse. Educate yourself. Picked himself up from a 6th grade reading level. Like, nobody's in there holding his hand, telling him, hey, let's go to school. You got to better yourself. You know, like, that was you, and your will and your ambition is so impressive.
Yeah. And if you had come in here and I thought your story was bullshit, I would have said something. I would have been like, well, this doesn't make sense. Tell me this then. But dude, I got nothing. Like, everything legit as far as my experience goes with the CJ system and whatnot. So I'm sure people are going to go, well, yeah, but he still shot someone. I'm like, he was 16, 17 years old. Do you remember the dumb shit you did at that age?
He said he did it.
And and then he said he did.
You.
Yeah, I know. Like, he owned it. Did his time for it.
Well, and that's a lesson of itself too, right? Yeah. Like, when you sit down and you talk to your kids, or I hope one day you get the chance to talk to young people and tell them, like, listen to me, these moments of anger that you have and these decisions that you make will sit with you
for the rest of your life.
Forever.
Yeah. Right.
Forever.
Yeah. And then not to mention the trauma just being in prison.
Yeah. I mean that definitely, like I tell people, man, my outer scars from prison are nothing compared to the ones that are inside.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Those don't go away. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
You know, sure, I got arthritis in my hands now from broken bones and, you know, but my scars are nothing compared to, you know, what I experienced on the inside.
Yeah. Recommendation. First responders, we see bad shit all the time. We have a high divorce rate, all that. One of the things that I did to fight it, and it may not work for you, it worked for me, at least with my wife. I've never held any of the bad shit back. Like, I tell her everything. And I think that's one of the reasons why we do well together. Because I don't hold it in. Yeah. And if it, like, you know, you see a dead kid on a scene, anything like that, I come home and I let it out. I tell her, you know, she knows something's up too. Like, she'll ask me, because I'm hugging the kids, they're sleeping, and I walk in and I'm just, you know, hugging the kids. She's like, you had a bad night, huh? I was like, yeah. She's like, tell me about it. So I don't hide it from her. Yeah. So you got Brooke. It sounds like that's your new anchor. So
yeah, she's been an absolute godsend.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if I'm in the ocean, she's definitely the raft keeping me afloat, you know, and I talk, you know, anytime she asks me about prison or about my experiences, I talk to her about it. You know,
that's good.
Yeah, I don't hold anything back, and I tell her all the time, man, that communication is the most important thing of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously trust is right there with it. You know, a commitment, but you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able, if there's something on your mind, something bothering you, talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, don't let it fester, and then you get angry and then you snap.
Yep.
You know, if there's something bothering you, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why anytime she has any questions with me about my experiences in prison, you know, I'll talk to her. Like, we may lay down and talk for hours, middle of the night, and she just asked me just talk to her about, you know, just different things. And I talked to her, and, you know, she's told me, she said that she's never had anybody in her life that can communicate like I can. My willingness, like, to be vulnerable. Like, you know, I don't see a man shedding tears as a sign of weakness. I see that he's comfortable with himself enough. Because, you know, there's nothing weak about me, but I have no problem. I'll cry in front of people. If I'm hurt, I'll cry in front of people.
Yeah.
You know, I don't try to be that macho type, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I am who I am, and I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And with her, yeah, it's just been it's been a gift. She's been a gift to me.
Better lock that down, son.
Oh, I'm going to.
It's like it's so crazy. I'm like, everything we talk about, I'm like, I'm in awe, because if you think about being in prison. And here I am in relationships with grown men that have been out their whole life.
You're right.
And they're like, I can't communicate. And Aaron's in his first real, like, relationship and has it figured out, right?
Yeah.
Like, It's so crazy to me.
You're like, this is bullshit.
Like, you got it going on. Like, way to go.
She's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Going through all these candidates and they can't live up to.
I found a good one.
You got a good one now?
I
do like, this is my favorite one.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've had a man crush on your man for quite a while. Day one that he came in the academy. I was the instructor for her new man. Okay. And, but he was a Army badass. He couldn't cut it in the Air Force, but for the Army standards, he did all right. But no, he's a genuinely good guy. Helped save a life by donating bone marrow.
Yeah,
that's tough right there.
Through surgery, he had to get the marrow. He was a match, and he went through with it and saved a life that way. But that is a painful procedure.
Absolutely.
And did he fly to Italy or something like that? Or
they flew him to Washington, D.C., and he donated for a little kid in Italy.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I can meet him.
Yes, I wish he could come.
Fucking go do a triple date.
Oh, we need to.
Yeah,
that would be so fun.
Go down the Magnolia area.
We never do anything. What? I would love to go out.
No kids.
No.
Yeah, Brooke would definitely love that too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, she would love that. That'd be so fun. Yeah. I tried to keep him in the friend zone.
Yeah, you did.
For a long time.
You were dumb. I was like
not another cop.
Yeah. She had to wait till she retired. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're in the friend zone. He's like,
yeah.
Okay. He stayed there for almost 6 years.
Does he know the whole Clydesdale story?
No.
Yeah, at the department, she's known as a Clydesdale.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
tell him the story.
Okay, so
you'll love it.
We have this. How do you describe?
He's think a Gunny from Full Metal Jacket.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about? That drill instructor guy. Yeah. Okay. Salty, just old salty dude, right? And he wasn't militant like that, but that's the best persona I could get.
Awesome.
He's an awesome dude.
Gives everybody crap, and he calls everybody out on their faults, and if there's a stereotype, he's using it, and he's just great, right?
Yeah, very un-PC.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we're in the academy, and he's like, "Hey," he calls me von Kampenstein because he says I look like a Frankenstein. So he's like, "Hey, get over here," and I'm like, "Sir, yes, sir," and I go running up there, and he grabs my leg. The bottom of my leg right here, not inappropriate. I don't want to get him in trouble, but down here on the bottom. And he's like, "Hey, everybody, you see these legs right here?" And he's talking to all the police recruits. He's one of our instructors. 50 people. Yeah. And he's like, some women are made for beauty. Those are show ponies. And those are women that you want on your arm when you go out at night and you want to show them off. And then he's like, and then there's Clydesdales like Kampenstein here. Jerk.
Fucking workhorses.
Yeah, and he's like, she's built for work. Look at these thunder thighs. So then they call me Clydesdale from then on.
Yeah, so I'll occasionally, now that you're on Facebook, God, that had to be you went to jail, you went to prison.
No cell
analog.
phones.
He went back, basically everything was analog. What was it? Was there Nintendo and Sega was probably out? Yeah,
you had Super Nintendo and you had Sega Genesis. You had pay phones that were a quarter a piece. You had, a quarter phone call. Everybody had pagers, beepers, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, you still had the yellow pages, big old yellow pages. Yeah. That's the way it was back then. I remember before I went in, I think gas was 93 cents a gallon.
Yeah. Fuck that. I ain't not anymore. It's $3.
Yeah.
And then you get out and they hand you a cell phone, right?
Yeah. A
smartphone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the change, because back then, a home PC was gateway computers. That was the first really make a home computer.
And we didn't really have. No,
I didn't know anybody that had a computer. When I was growing up.
But that's what I'm saying. The computers, mine was at school. Those are the computers I saw, and then flash forward to oh, my phone's recording the episode. I can't show it. Now I've got a computer that does everything that we could ever imagine.
Yep.
So what's the learning curve been?
It's been kind of overwhelming at first. It was really over because I got that brand new iPhone 12 Pro Max.
Hell yeah.
And Here it is.
His friends are like, hold up, we got something for you.
Right.
I got this little computer in my hand, and I'm trying to figure out how to work on it. And no, it's been amazing, man. Them phones, technology is just.
You didn't have to look in the Sears women's lingerie catalog part anymore.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
He knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's all we had back then.
Yeah.
So
no, it's technology is just amazing. Like with that new the 12 Pro Max, like you take a picture of it, the detail in that, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
I think at that age, when you went in, we were still going to the gas station buying the
little cardboard
the little throwaway ones.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think we still have like 15 of them from our wedding because we went and bought, like, we was poor, so we went and we couldn't afford a photographer, so we went and got those.
Oh, that's fun.
Hand them out to people.
Yeah, we left them at the tables. Yeah.
That's really a good idea.
That's
because
a hood wedding.
You might, even out of all them pictures, if you can capture 5 or 6 good pictures, it was worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah, and it's fun because, your dumbass friends are taking a ton of inappropriate pictures, so I think it's funny.
Yeah.
So I just thinking of the cultural change.
Just the learning curve all
There's
together.
cars that drive themselves.
Yeah.
There's Teslas out there. Like, were you able to keep up with some of that stuff while you're in through TV or anything like that?
Yeah, just like commercials and stuff like that. You see commercials, and obviously I see commercials about, cell phones and guys coming in that that were just recently coming into prison, telling me about phones and the argument between Galaxy and
iPhone
and iPhone.
It's even in prison.
They'll argue about which one's better, and So I mean, I wasn't completely out of the loop.
Right.
It just, when I got out, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I walked out the county, I don't know if you've seen the video on that yet, but they got a video where there was a lot of people across the street, and they didn't release me until 1:00 in the morning. They got out there at noon and stayed out there the whole day.
Waiting for you to walk out.
Yeah, they had posters.
Holy shit. Were they intentionally not letting you out to try to give you some privacy? Or
so there is an argument there. The Tarrant County jail, they were blaming it on TDC, and TDC was saying no, that it's their fault. So it was kind of just going back and forth.
I gotcha.
But yeah, they finally let me out, man. There was probably about 50 people across the street.
Sorry, I just saw that my screensaver kicked on. It drives me nuts. I don't want people to see reflection.
Yeah.
So,
which one is you?
I'm this guy, and then that guy over there is that was Zentino. When I first started this, calling it Two Cops, One Donut, the intention was to just have another. If Brandy wanted to come on and be my co-host, like I was going to constantly have a cop as a co-host. Yeah. Well, it's really hard to schedule.
Yeah.
Like Zentino, he lives all the way to the north side. He lives an hour away from me. Yeah. So it was really hard for him to get going. But when I got it started, I paid to have this picture made, and got him on there with me. And everybody's like, I thought he was your co-host. I'm like, well, he was, but it wasn't like an official, like, for the rest of this show. It's just whenever I could get another cop on here. So, got Brandy on here today. I don't always have another cop. It's just, but I call it Two Cops, One Donut because my favorite podcast was Two Bears, One Cave. It's Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura, which I don't know if you know those comedians, but hilarious.
Tom Segura gives me chest pain. He makes me laugh so hard.
He's playing locally soon.
Oh, you got to look up some of his stuff, Aaron.
Oh my God. So fucking funny, dude. So funny. Anyway.
So you get out, and then there's not only technology, but like, what about food and everything?
Yeah. So let me tell you a story about that. So, the 2 sheriff deputies that come and got me from Cofield, that's very unusual. Like they don't usually come pick up inmates. Yeah. So these 2 sheriffs, they show up and they're in their cruiser. And they tell me, they say, man, what do you got going on?
So they don't know the story.
Yeah. So, they had me shackled up because, I'm a prisoner. So they had me shackled up. And so I'm in the back seat. And so I start telling them my story. And I'm telling them why I'm going back to the county. And like it blew y'all away. It blew them away. Yeah. And
just don't hear that.
Yeah. And one of them told me, he said, so you're fixing to get out? And I said, yeah, they're fixing to release me.
I'd have unshackled your ass right there.
Hey, you know what he told me? He said, when was the last time you had a good meal? I said, about 25 years ago.
Damn.
And he said, we're fixing to fix that. They pulled up in a Whataburger.
Oh,
One of them went in.
They
and
didn't
got
take
me,
you to an In-N-Out then.
Nah, they
Whataburger,
they pulled up in a Whataburger, and one of them got out. The other one stayed in the car with me, and one of them got out, went in there and got me double meat, double cheese, the works, French fries, got me a Coke. And I was in the back seat with these handcuffs on, but I was in heaven.
Hell yeah.
I was in heaven. I told him, man, I said, thank y'all, man. Thank you very much. And,
I bet that was so good.
I've done that for guys that I know are going to go away.
Yeah.
Like I'm arresting them. Yeah. I see that they violated probation. That's going to be a heavy hitter. And I'm like, hey man, like, you hungry? Like, cause you ain't going to eat for a minute. Yeah. Like, so run them through Whataburger is usually, the go-to for Texans. And, I do like In-N-Out better. So personally, you hear the debates. Yeah. But that's awesome. That's a cool story. I'm glad they did that for you. Yeah. I probably would have taken the cuffs off and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. When they dropped me off, they took me in and they made sure I was squared away, and they both came over there and talked to me, and one of them told me, man, you take care of yourself. I wish you the best. And the other one, he reached out, shook my hand and told me, hey man, get out and do right. And I told myself, man, you ain't got to worry about that.
Them.
Yeah. Do you remember their names?
Recognize this man?
Yeah. Do you remember their names at all?
I don't. I wish I did, man, because they definitely deserve recognition. Recognition right now, just like Sharon Wilson and Stephen Connor do, man. I mean, because they chose to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. My case was legit. I was wrongfully convicted, but they didn't have to take their time actually investigating my case. They could have just said no, just like the appeal courts kept on doing it to me.
Right.
But they chose to follow the letter of the law. They chose to do the right thing. And so I'm personally, internally grateful to them. Yeah. And I will always be grateful because they gave me my life back.
Yeah. Have you been in contact with her? Have you talked to her personally?
No, I haven't. I'm hoping that sometime soon I could set up a meeting where I can go down there and just talk to her, because I just want to get their side, like how things are going to unfold.
Yeah.
I want to understand what's going to take place. Mm-hmm. And I definitely want to be able to talk to her about, my plight, like my situation right now.
Yeah.
Where I have, like I mentioned, there's no 401k, there's no Social Security. My car insurance through the roof because I'm like a 16-year-old driver, and I can't find a legit job where I'm getting paid good money. Mm-hmm. $15, $16 an hour, man, that's nothing. You really can't survive out here on something like that. Like a young teen still living at home, or a young, somebody in their 20s still living with their parents, making $15, $16, $17 an hour, that's cool. But if you got serious, bills to pay and stuff like that, it's hard to try to survive on something like that, mm-hmm. And
you're trying to step into a role where you're trying to take care of a family too. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Well, I do have friends that are friends.
Yeah.
So I can try to reach out, try to get you connected if your attorney hasn't tried to do that. I don't like that his attorney just tries like, okay, I'll help now. That bugs me.
Yeah.
It bugs me. Why is he stepping back in now?
When he came back and he talked to me about it, he admitted, he just told me, hey man, you were right. Oh shit, I'm cramping up.
I ain't got no more electrolytes for you, bro.
I've been dealing with cramps here lately for some reason.
Would you quit hitting my camera, lady?
I hit it again.
Again? I can see it over there bobbing up and down. Clydesdales don't do well in small spaces.
Neither does he. Look, he's over here cramping up.
Yeah, I'm cramping. Yeah, I've been dealing with cramps for about like the last few months, and I actually went and saw a doctor about it, and she just told me I needed to take magnesium and potassium pills and stuff like that. But.
So I don't know if this will help you, but so when I was a kid growing up, they were called Clearly Canadian. It was a carbonated flavored water. Okay. Well, flash forward to today. My wife brings home like from Walmart or something. It's called Clear American.
No, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. So I see this water and I try it and I'm like, oh my God, these taste just like Clearly Canadian. These are amazing. I love them. And the point I'm getting to is they are loaded with potassium.
Really?
Yeah. No calories, no anything else, but it's got a lot of potassium. So you're still drinking water and you're getting potassium.
Yeah.
So that might help you.
Yeah, you definitely need potassium.
Yeah. So, and
You know, and I work out a lot, so like my muscles, they're going locking up on me. I just worked out legs yesterday, so that's why my legs probably.
I hear you.
That's why it's locking up on me right now.
Yeah. Getting them squats in.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Heads up.
Being
Just
in
push
a nice real gym.
Yeah, I know.
My bad.
You can set it on the floor even if you want to. If it doesn't want to stay.
It'll stay.
Yep. See, I got small. I need sponsors so I can grow my office.
It's okay.
But so what's the future holding now? What are you looking at?
Just enjoying life.
Just enjoying life.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I can ask for, man. I'm not trying to make up for lost times because it's impossible to do.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at just taking each day as it comes, and embracing every blessing that comes my way.
I hear you.
You know,
shit, man. I might have him on the show just to be a co-host.
How fun would that be?
You know what I mean? Just that. How long do you have to drive to get out here?
It's about 30 minutes. It's not bad.
That's not terrible.
It'd be so interesting. See, now you should have him interview a cop.
Right?
Like a cop with an interesting story.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Well, your story. I was sitting in prison, and I was watching the 4:00 news, and I see where it showed this cop was shot, and then they bring this woman on the TV.
She took up the whole screen.
And before it even showed her name, I looked at her and I said, I know her. And I watched you talk, and then when it said your name, I mean, obviously, I haven't seen you so long, so we all change, But I recognized your face, and my mind was spinning. But when I saw Brandy Camber, man, my heart just swelled with pride, and I almost cried because I was just thinking in my mind, like, man, she's made something good of her life, and she showed that she's courageous, to be able to help, her partner, and I was floored, man. I'm very happy. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too.
Thank you.
She's a part of a lot of good things. So you got Humanizing the Badge, you got Hallie's Heroes. She revamped for a major police department, one of the top 12 in the nation, basically helped create the tactical medical unit, which is what saved another officer's life. Saved several officers' lives, actually. One that happened right behind an officer fell out. He had a heart issue, basically fell out of his chair. And I didn't even know what was going on. Next thing, she's teaching a class just down the hallway. And a couple guys ran and got her, and she comes in, uses the AED, which is, you probably had those at the prison, right?
What?
AEDs.
What is that?
It's like it's a jump box for your heart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she saved an officer with that, and I know you got more. I just don't know all of them. Yeah, she's a pretty big deal. Yeah, but yeah, she does a lot of good things. So I like bringing her on here from time to time to make me look better because I need.
You're doing a good job with this.
Yeah. Well, your episode had like 6,000 views.
He's gonna beat it.
You think so?
I can feel it. Yeah, this is so.
You think so?
This is the best story.
It is. I love it.
But the best because it's easy. Like I was set up for success in my life. Like when you sit us next together. We came from the same exact place. Yeah. The same exact place. Mm-hmm. We're not that different. That's the whole point of this whole thing, right? Yeah. Like we grew up from kindergarten through 8th grade together. Yeah. So, did you
guys ever date?
No. She was babies.
Yeah, she was.
You didn't date in 8th grade?
No.
I dated her in 7th.
But she was definitely one of my best friends. I think her and Jeremy Bell were my 2 best friends all through elementary and middle school. Yeah. Yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
She's all right.
We're besties. It's funny because you're so little, like we're just babies. Yeah. But we came from the same roots. Like I came from the same exact Haltom City roots. I mean, my mom was a cop, so.
A badass cop, by the way. Who just retired.
Yeah, she finally retired after 30 years. So
I recorded my
congratulations to her.
I recorded my dad's speech at her retirement for her.
So my mom and his dad were partners.
Okay.
So that's how I became friends with Eric.
Yeah.
But like the whole point of life, right, is realizing that you're not that far off from people. Right. We want to bury our head in the sand and be like, oh, that would never be me. Really? Because one decision. That's what my grandfather told me. He was a cop too. Yeah. And he said, when I became a police officer, this is probably the best advice he could have given me. And I think this is a great example of that. He said, always remember that the difference between you and the guys in prison is one bad decision. One.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
And so don't ever think you're above anybody. Don't think you're better than anybody. It's one decision's difference. And it's so true. We came from the same background and both of us have done good. It doesn't, there should be a world of difference, but it's about what kind of person you are.
Well, I'm excited to see where you go from here. I really hope that we can get a follow-up once, you go through all the rest of the court stuff.
Absolutely.
And to help, you live your life. I want to go out. I want us to go have a good night on the town.
So much fun. Yeah. I do have one question for you though, because you have a pretty big audience right now of police officers and the like. So is there anything,
most of mine are police.
Yeah. Is there anything that you didn't get to say, or if you just had the ear of every police officer, what would you say?
I would just say, man, that, coming from my perspective, I'm grateful for their service. I love police. I love law enforcement. I love first responders. So I guess all I would say is just, be safe and continue, doing a good job. Continue helping people when they need your help. And, I believe that every citizen, the cops ain't the enemy. And everybody needs to understand that. Everybody needs to understand that when something happens, it's going to be the police who save you. Mm-hmm. It can be the police who show up in bad situations. And so, I love the police. I love, Fort Worth police, Dallas police, any police, any first responder. I have the utmost respect for them. I admire them for their work, and I wish I'd have made better decisions in my life, because then, maybe I would have been one.
Yeah.
You had the same heart.
Yeah, for sure.
We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, dude, I can't even, I wish that this wasn't such a unique story. I wish that everybody that goes in through the system, this is the type of outcome.
Yeah.
And I'm not referring to the, wrongful conviction and all that stuff. I'm just the motivation and the heart to better yourself, even in a shitty situation. And you did that, and you're continuing to do that. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. Have you shared it at all? Is this the first time?
Yeah, no, this is the first time. I mean, there's a lot of people there's a group called Epicenter on Facebook, and they specialize in, youthful conviction and stuff. And, of course, they talk about my case and about my story and stuff on there. But as far as having to sit down, this is the first one.
Okay. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate the exclusive.
That's an honor, because your story is so good.
Yeah. And shit, we got a director friend. Maybe he can make some calls. We can get a movie out of this for you.
That'd be nice. I actually told her, I said, if you know any good authors who would like to write my story, man,
What are you talking about? You write it.
Yeah, but I'm so tied up in living life, and I just don't have no time, man. I want to go everywhere, man. I want to go to New York. I want to go everywhere. I told Brooke, I said, man, I want to be able to go to New York, and I want to be able to lay my hands on the Statue of Liberty, because for me, it just has so much more meaning.
It's like the representation of freedom for you.
Exactly. You know, and I want to be able to put my hands on it, and she has family in Iowa, so we're going to go to Iowa. I want to go to California. I got family in Arkansas. I want to go to Colorado. So
there ain't nothing in Iowa.
Well, she got family there. They got
just kidding.
They got farms.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing. But Colorado, you'll have a good time. You'll have a good time. Arkansas, there's a lot of cool hot springs, or not hot springs, but springs and stuff. Like if you into fishing and all that stuff. My dad goes to Arkansas quite a bit. Stop crying, Brandy.
I know. I'm sorry.
You're gonna make me cry, and I am not wanting to cry right now. So
I just can't imagine. We live so ungratefully.
Yeah, and I'm honestly, I'm really excited for you, because, like I said, I'm pumped. Like even when we go out, you ain't paying for nothing. We're gonna take you out.
I know. I'm like, I wish I was rich so I could be like, done.
Yeah,
New York.
New York.
We're gonna have this man touch the Statue of Liberty today.
I'm gonna give him his own private tour.
I swear. I'm like,
I need that Tony Stark money.
it's awesome.
Iron Man. Yeah.
I'm just so excited for you.
I know. I'm pumped, dude. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think this is a good spot to end it. I will definitely have you back on if you're willing. I definitely want to do a follow up. And why don't you give a shout out to your lady while we close out here, sir?
All right, Brooke. I love you, baby.
There it is.
Oh,
appreciate it, guys.
You got him to cry.